In this Map Suite MVC Edition sample app walkthrough, we're going to show you how you can use the ZedGraphStyle to draw charts and graphs on top of your map. If you're not familiar with ZedGraph, it's an open source charting and graphing library that we've implemented as an extension to use with Map Suite to give you some of this functionality. So if you're not familiar with extensions, you will need to add it to your project, and we have it in our developer reference folder that gets installed with the Map Suite MVC Edition. And if you go to the spatial reference folder and then the ZedGraph style extension, you'll need to reference these DLLs in your project in order to be able to use this style. So that's something to know about before we get started here. In this sample here, we've got some basic pie charts that we're displaying over various cities in the United States to give a breakdown of the demographic of whites versus Asians in these cities. So let's take a look at how we set up this sample application, and we're going to start looking at the controller source. And this routine here is getting called when the map is loaded. And the first thing we're going to do is add the map to the page or create a new map, set our current extent, set our map unit, add the world map kit as a WMS overlay, and so we have a base map to work with. And then here's where we start to get into the ZedGraphStyle. So we want to create a new ZedGraphStyle, and then the first thing we want to do is wire up the event handler so when the ZedGraph goes to draw, we can draw our charts accordingly. So we're doing that right here, and this is saying that we want to tie the ZedGraph drawing event equal to this ZedGraphStyle ZedGraph drawing routine that we've created down here. So that's very important. You won't get much drawn if you don't wire that up. Next, we need to tell the style what column names we're going to look at. So in this case, we're going to look at white, Asian, and area name, because these are columns from the shapefiles that are required for us to build our pie chart. Next, we're going to add our shapefile feature layer. In this case, it's going to represent some cities in the United States. And we're going to go ahead and add our ZedGraphStyle to that layer for Zoom Level 1 to the Custom Styles collection. And we're also going to give it a text style so we can label each city accordingly. This doesn't have anything to do with the ZedGraphStyle, it's just going to label the city. Finally, we're going to apply those styles for all 20 zoom levels. We're going to give a little extra drawing percentage so nothing gets cut off on a tile edge. And then we're going to add that layer to the static overlay and add that overlay to the map and return the map out to the page to be rendered. So at that point, the map's set up. So when it goes to draw, for each feature in that shapefile, it's going to call this ZedGraph drawing routine here because we wired up that event. And in here, we're going to do lots of different things to build up our pie charts. So the first thing we're going to do is change the label position. We're going to call that, and we're going to pass in the city's shapefile into that. So coming into here, we're going to set our offset on our label that we set up early, and we're going to give it a -20 offset, so it'll be away from our pie chart. And also give it a little X offset here and a Y offset as well using this formula. So that will offset our label, and so it'll look nice along with our pie chart. If you don't have any labels, you don't need to do that, but it's something to consider if you do want to label the cities in addition to having the pie chart. The next thing we do is create a ZedGraph control. We're going to say what size we want, so we're going to do 100 pixels by 100 pixels in this case. We're going to say if we want any fill. We're not doing any fill in this one. We're going to say what type of if we want to have a chart fill. Again, we're doing none for that as well. But ZedGraph's its own API in and of itself, so there's lots and lots of different options, and you can look at the ZedGraph website to get a better feel for what is all possible. Finally, here we're turning off and on other various properties such as what's visible, titles and things of that nature. So you can see it's a very robust API to do lots of different types of charts and graphs. Then we're going to add our two pie items, one for white and one for Asian. So that's going to pull from our data from our shapefile and add that pie slice accordingly. Next, we're going to give it a displacement of 0.2, and we're going to do an axis change on the ZedGraph to make the pie chart look how we'd like. Finally, we're going to get that image and we're going to set that to the event argument of bitmap. So really we're using ZedGraph to render the chart image, and then we just assign it to the eBitmap property that gets passed into that. So that's handing that image over to the map to be drawn on top of it at the location where the map control has for that feature, in this case a city. So really there's two parts to doing the work here. ZedGraph's building up the chart, and then it's passing the image to the map control to be drawn in the location where it needs to be. So you can see this is a very powerful sample if you want to do something like this. This is just barely scratching the surface of what really is possible. So I'd invite you to dig into a little bit more if you're wanting to implement this type of functionality into your application. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to contact us, or you can post your questions directly on our discussion forums at thinkgeo.com/forums. Thank you for watching.